Hey everybody, my name is Ike. I'm creative director at Sparky Paints, and with me I've got one of our designers, Ryan.
Hi,
Say hi,
everybody. My
Ryan.
name's Ryan. I'm one of the systems designers on the game. I do some narrative design and I wear a bunch of other hats as well.
All right, I'm going to start up a brand new game of Mind Over Magic. Now, we've been working on this game for a long time, and we're super excited to show it to you. It's a game about starting a magic school. And the twist on it is it's really dangerous, which we are being warned about by Henry, somebody who was the founder of a previous school. And we'll dive right in. The game starts with getting 3 new students who have been summoned in to try and restart this school that seems to be in a little bit of bad shape. But the way you progress in this school is you go on trials. So we're going to send them off to dive right into our first combat trial. And they're going to be battling a burrower larva to prove that they know some magic. It's a dangerous place. It's tough. Magic is dangerous, and proving that you are ready to graduate and become a mage is really rough. So here we go. When mages go on a trial, they have to fight. They've got HP, they've got mana, they've got different abilities, and we've got tons of nasty creatures in this area called the Underschool.
And your students, we are sending into the underschool, are going to have to be prepared to fight on their own. They are going to make their own decisions in battle. You can give them supplies to make sure that they're more likely to survive. But the decisions they're making in combat are not up to you, so they will live or die on their own accord against the many nasty species like the burrower larvae here. Alright, and with that, we've got our first boss defeated. And our students are going to teleport back into the underschool and open up a new room.
Up here we've got the Book of Dread. This is where the students come to complete their trial, and so we'll let them do it. And with these very first students, our only option is to join the staff, and they'll form the first teachers at our new school.
Yeah, so we're going to make our first choice here. We're going to go ahead and pull open the Book of Dread and make our choice between which kind of magic we want to start with. The Book of Dread sort of represents the collection of magical knowledge that the school had, and so we're going to choose what to reclaim from that.
All right, we're going to go with the gruel pot. Getting extra meals sounds great. And while we're playing, a reminder, you can go play exactly what we're playing anytime right now on Steam. Our demo is up as part of Steam Next Fest, and it'll be there for about another 10 days. So jump on it. Have a bunch of fun. So now we've opened up the surface. We've broken out of the underschool. And we need to now build something. We need to build a place to sleep, a place to find ways to cook food, and we need to get more students. All right, what are we going to call this? How about our finest tower?
Love it. One thing you might notice is we've got a fourth member of our staff now. We've got Henry, the name you might recognize from the beginning of the game. The founder ghost from the previous school is now a member of our staff, and he's going to be helping us out.
I'm renaming all of our guys here to honor the awesome art team that's been working on this game. We actually have two Andys on the team, so we get a twofer with Andy. All right, and on we go.
So
So
a question from then we asking: do fights get harder each trial? Yes, they do. So the first trial, the one with the burrower larva that you fight in the intro sequence and with your first batches of students, is an easy trial. It's only one room, and then the boss. But as you go, there's going to be more waves of enemies to fight and harder bosses to fight. So a lot of preparation is needed to get your students to survive the later trials for sure.
So I've sent everybody off here to get a bunch of resources. We need stone and wood, especially to start building our school. But also, we'll harvest these gutberry plants so that we have something to eat until we can cook proper meals. We can see here something you can eat, but everyone hates them, which is an important part of the game. If staff and students are unhappy, that causes problems. Your staff might quit, and students may have catastrophic nightmares that actually can lead to their early death if you're not careful. We'll see some of that as we go. All right, they've probably they've harvested enough. We can start building something.
Yeah.
Get up a wall there. Another wall over here. They've picked up their resources. They're getting the walls built. But they're not going to be able to get through this wall once it's constructed. So we'll go ahead and add a door here and a hallway over here.
So one nice thing that some people have missed in the top left corner, there's also some little tutorial messages that will give you information on things like the doors and the hallways. There's a description of what each topic is about. There's a little video that'll play that'll show you the concept. And all these tutorials can be accessed at any time through the menu. There's a tutorials button on the settings menu, so you can go back and replay them at your leisure. It's a really nice tool to sort of get used to what's going on in the world without it being intrusive.
Go ahead and get a roof on this area. Using the roof tool, we need to adjust our peak right there. It's just perfect. We want max wonk, medium wonk.
I think we want 66% wonk exactly.
Okay.
It's a very technical term, wonk. And so you got to be
66.
very precise with the amount of wonk.
Excellent. All right, they'll keep on doing that. In the meantime, I like to get started getting students into the game as quickly as I can. So we need a wand shaper to do that. But a wand shaper requires sinew, which we can get by hunting ourselves some dire rats. Sorry, guys. You've got the stuff we need. And we'll use the time control here to speed things up a little while everybody's hard at work.
Another quick question coming through from Cassette. Actually, a question: can you equip students with like armor or any sort of clothing? To be honest, I just want to dress them up. Right now, there's all sorts of different outfits that the characters will wear. You can do some re-rolling on the beginning screen with their starting characters, and when characters become adults, you can re-roll their appearance. We've got plans for more customization options, potentially things like gear. But we're still working through exactly what's going to be in the final game. But we definitely want customization and player expression to be a thing that we support in a big way. Not only in how you make your school your own, but also how you make the characters your own as well.
All right, they'll get on our wand shaper here shortly. There we go.
Something that happened while we were talking is the room got completely surrounded. We get the roof and the walls up, and so the room becomes a room. The back wall fills in automatically, and it becomes a room. In the game, there's all sorts of different room types. If you have specific pieces of furniture in a room, it will become one of those room types. And those room types can have really, really strong effects. Things like increasing your research and crafting rate or your cooking rate, or giving conviction or sanity to make your characters happier. So figuring out what types of furniture a room needs and how that room needs to be laid out in order to get those bonuses is really important. So, for example, this room just became a scullery because we've got a gruel pot in it now. So we got a new wallpaper automatically, and now the room is going to be faster at cooking. I suspect that when this wand shaper finishes, it may stop being a scullery because I think that having two different crafting stations in a room will not do. So Ike might put up a divider wall between them so that he gets those bonuses.
Gotta have those bonuses. There we go. Split that right in half. Absolutely make a hallway. And now let's start building another room over here. Go up that far. We'll build another wall over here. And you can see the different colors here as I place. This tells us how far out I can build and still have a supported wall.
Okay, so the concept of support is that walls in the school are going to provide support to floors and to roofs. You can only extend a floor or a roof out so far from a wall. And so making sure that your school is always going to go down to this foundation that's at the bottom. Later in the game, you'll unlock things like support columns or brackets that will let you extend that support further. You might get the ability to place additional foundation blocks, which will then let you build maybe a second ancillary school outside or just extend your foundation. We even have plans for magic support blocks that will just float in midair without any support and allow you to sort of slip the surly bonds of Earth and make a floating magic school. Aluhan 490 asking, are there objectives or missions or stuff like that? We have plans for some of that sort of thing. We want there to be a lot of sort of intrinsic motivation and player-driven exploration of the game. But there definitely will be some amount of things to accomplish that we reward you for. What exactly those things are going to be and how they tie in with the narrative is something that we are hard at work on, making sure that that's all cohesive and feels great. But we're really excited about the directions that we're going to go with that.
Meanwhile, getting this next level set up, put in a spiral staircase up to the next level. Getting some lights going because you can play in the dark, but bad things tend to happen.
We might experience
Marcelo
some of those later.
just
Keep an eye out.
crashed hard right there on the floor. We don't have any beds. This is probably going to cause us some issues.
So this status and conviction screen shows the needs of the characters, things like their hunger, their sleep need, recreation need, as well as their overall conviction. All the good and bad things that happen to them sort of total up at the bottom conviction status there. And so we're going to see in the morning when those characters wake up, they'll probably have a pretty big negative penalty to their conviction. And as Ike alluded to earlier, staff members will have a break, throw a temper tantrum, and quit the school if and when their conviction gets too low. So trying to keep them happy is typically one of the important things you're trying to manage.
And see, the great part of having a ghost on your staff is they can just work all night. They don't need to sleep. Everyone else is crashed out up here, outside on the ground or on the floor, but our Ghost Henry is still hard at work, and he's bringing in students. They're quite likely to also just crash out pretty quick. Oh, and our student's helping us out. He went and fetched the wand so that Henry can bring in the next student here.
That's great.
Great job, David. Meanwhile, we need to get started on beds.
While Ike is doing that, we've got Cassette asking, please elaborate on the bad things that might happen. There's all kinds of bad things that might happen in various different scenarios in the game. One of the fun things that we've gotten to do as designers is to come up with these various systems and ways to punish you if you're not keeping up with them. So a dark room might spawn void shrooms, which are little mushrooms that will steal the mana of characters that are nearby. That'll make them upset, and it'll make it so that the spells that they cast are less efficient. They're going to need to go and refill mana at the mana font down in the underschool more often. A cluttered room might spawn some gremlins, so little creatures that'll come and attack your stuff. A dirty room might spawn oozes that'll come and attack your furniture and potentially destroy them. There are lightning storms. There are wastings where your crops won't grow. There's all sorts of events that might happen to you that you'll have to contend with in this world, and consequences for not dealing with them properly, which is always fun to try and manage while you're trying to build out your school.
It's just so.
And maybe there and extend the wall up. Yep.
Oh, we're out of resources. Need some more stuff.
Yep. I think you missing a hallway on the right side of your school might be
yep,
time to go explore out there.
Some issues.
Lego Kirby Twin asking, assuming you'll only be able to have one ghost teacher, they just seem really good. Certainly early in the game, the intent is that you only have the one. It's a pretty special thing to have the ghost teacher and a great fallback to keep you from ever being able to completely have your entire staff quit and be sort of helpless. But we're not. I think we're going to reserve saying that you're only ever going to have one. A lot of the concepts of the game are rules that are meant to be broken, especially by things like late game research and the Book of Dread, especially like special texts that you can get from there, like the choice at the beginning of the game between the Gruel Pot and the Mono Lantern. So I wouldn't quite go so far as to say that you're only ever going to have one. Cassette asking if the enemy spawns, the enemies like the oozes give any resources when dealt with. Some do and some don't. Oozes themselves, actually, when they die, they splatter into more filth to clean up, so they're almost potentially a recurring problem if you're not handling them well. But gremlins, for example, will drop a little carcass that you can then put into a midden heap for reagents. The void shrooms, when you harvest them, you get void caps, which are used in various pieces of furniture. So it's a mix, but oftentimes you will get useful things from the things you're killing. So Ike's plugging away here at building out his bedroom. We've got rain starting for the first time.
Oh, and my roof isn't quite complete, so 2 of these cots are getting damaged here. The problems never end.
Yeah, so rain is going to slowly damage everything, from furniture to the reagents that are left out in the garden. The reagents are going to slowly tick down, so whatever is out there that's taking damage, you'll lose those resources temporarily. Or not, I mean permanently. You won't be able to get them back, but so building roofs is really important to keep everything under control, but then also building storage furniture is usually the way that you want to keep those resources safe from the rain.
There we go. We'll get that all sealed back up. Get our rooms back. All right. Now we really need to be teaching. We are not teaching anybody anything. It's not a very good
what kind of school are we?
Terrible school. All right, we need some more rats. Let's get all these rats hunted, everybody. They're getting to it. Some of them, we see some of them are out of mana, so they're going to run refill on mana before they help out there. We should also go look at priority. This is how we can make sure that everybody is helping out with our hunt here. We can say, hey, everybody, prioritize hunting. So now all of our staff will make sure that hunting is their top job if there's any hunting to be done.
And the nice thing about that priority window, which is probably familiar to genre players of games like Oni or RimWorld, is you can make sure that your characters are doing individually doing tasks that are the tasks that are appropriate for them. So a character that's better at lightning magic, which is the magic that's used to do research, you might want to prioritize research on that character so that they're doing the most efficient task that they can do. There's also individual priority on any given entity. You can set a number from 1 to 5 that will, or an X that'll say nobody ever do this. That'll make that single job more or less prioritized among your characters. So lots of different ways to express your opinions about which jobs you want to get done.
All right, everybody, keep on with the resource gathering. Some more trees. There we go. As soon as we get this done, we will be ready to start teaching some class.
Well, Andy looks like he's pretty upset with you. Did something in particular happen to him, or?
Uh-oh. Andy, what's your deal? Well, he slept on the floor, and he bumped into this mana, this void shroom back here before somebody was able to harvest it. He had his mana drained. One of the bad things that happens.
Yeah, so he's going on a feeding frenzy now, so he is broken, and he's throwing his temper tantrum, and then he's probably going to quit when he's done with that. And by probably, I mean he definitely is going to quit when he's done with that. So we could use to get these students through as soon as possible. You want to talk about the fog and why it's important to graduate students, Mike?
Sure. So this fog's rolling in. It's part of the magic of this world, and it's not great. It just rolls over, it destroys resources, and the only way to make it go away is to graduate students. In order to do that, we need to teach them first. So we can see if we select David here, he is not fully trained, he hasn't learned anything. So we're going to get right on that first thing in the morning. Meanwhile, we'll fast forward a little bit, but we'll also get Henry to work here. Get some harvesting done while everyone is asleep.
Shinitori Masu asking, in the late game, is building underground going to be possible? In the demo, no. In the full game, almost certainly. We have lots of plans for what building underground might look like and what the dungeon might look like. The current trial setup is a small taste of what we expect to be in the Underschool, but not 100% of what is going to be in there in the final game. So be on the lookout for more news about the game, but almost certainly there will be more to do underground than just go and do battles.
Got berry soup made over here at our gruel pot, and we need to really get some research started too.
Yep.
Build ourselves an arcane secretary. And it's daytime. People are hungry because there's no meals. Do we have any gut berries?
We got 3 of them.
We'll use our menu over here to find what we need. Get that building. That'll get some meals for everybody. Now we can start researching though. Learn ourselves some new magic, like the bitter ice plot will help us grow some better food so we're not constantly scrambling for berries. But we have class going on. Look how cool that looks.
So the basic learning stone, which we've got in this room, it'll teach whatever magics that students need to learn. So you can see that they're casting various different spells at it to learn all the different types of magic. In the later game, you might be building specific teaching stations that are associated with one of the skills of magic. So, for example, in the intro of the game, the splash screen at the beginning of the game with the tentacle monster, that's the dark teaching station, so a place where you can learn some dark magic at an accelerated rate. But you'll need to build specific rooms that support those. So an advanced classroom might require things like bookcases or specifically for it to be towered or dark all the time, or have other conditions. So it's important to sort of understand the room type system in order to teach things so that your advanced students can get their capabilities quickly enough to keep the fog at bay.
Build a little attic over here.
Yeah, it's cute.
But
I love it.
working on a game, sometimes there's
Yeah,
those
walls into a
moments.
floor.
Oh, yep. Wrong thing. There's those moments when everything starts to come together, and that wallpaper, the classroom wallpaper, was one of those moments of like, oh man, this is just so cool. Animating wallpaper, of course. Every magic school needs animating wallpaper.
We've got
See how our
Shine Tiramisu in
students
the
are doing.
chat, literally just now saying the wallpapers in rooms are really beautiful. So really shows
Thanks.
off that it's resonating with people, the idea of having these different rooms with the cool wallpapers. So we're definitely planning on adding a lot of those in and having the different rooms like look really cool, and potentially even adding customizations so that you can make some more choices about what your rooms look like.
Ooh, now we can start building some crops, get some proper agriculture happening.
Extra Salty Milk asking, will we get lore as we play? Lore is an interesting question. We have lore. We have ideas of what the story of the game is. We do definitely want to parcel that out to players in some form. Our current philosophy is generally kind of there are many stories about what has happened in the world, and you're not necessarily sure which ones of them are true. So when you graduate students, for example, you might see a little message of a little snippet of lore from the school that came before. And those might hint you into some of what the story might be. We're looking at ways to sort of give players a taste of that, of what the story of the world is. But we're not really planning on necessarily there being an in-your-face narrative that everybody is going to have the same story in their head of what happened. It's more of a make up your own story in your head a little bit of what might have happened beforehand with some supporting details. Speaking of lore, Ike, as long as we're on the subject, Jason and I were asked in the last stream where the idea for the game came from, and I'm wondering if you might have a less foggy recollection of what the sort of original inspiration for the game was way back when.
Oh, I remember it very well. We were doing some brainstorming back in 2019 about what kind of game do we want to build. And some of us were really into RimWorld at the time, and we were like, what if it was RimWorld but magic? And we played around with some visual ideas, but it was like, oh, okay, but like, why is that interesting specifically? And it was Matt, one of our programmers, who said, well, I really love Persona, and I wish that it was a school and not just like a colony of people doing magic. I want to teach people about it. And why are my guys that hungry? They're pretty hungry.
They're pretty hungry.
And so we thought about that for a second and then said, well, what if you were building like a dollhouse, like a side view of a 3D world instead of a top-down view? And that's when we started to get really excited. And those two things have kind of driven development this whole time, of the diorama of a magical school. Somebody brought up Wes Anderson cutaways of buildings, and we did a bunch of visual mock-ups back then with that kind of idea. And then we've been iterating on that ever since. How much colony, sim, how much management game, how much danger, how much humor versus drama and danger is there. And so that's what we've been working towards this whole time.
Yep.
These guys are almost ready to send off into the dungeon.
Meanwhile, I think the research probably completed, so we might pick a new topic there.
Absolutely. Chest or dining table? Kind of want to get a dining room, so let's get a dining table set up.
Yeah, we'll go from everybody being starving, hungry, and not having enough to eat to everybody eating like kings at a table soon enough.
We didn't
I think a couple
get in
berry
there.
crops have popped up.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
really don't
there's one
want
or
them all
two.
to die before they graduate, but we're kind of in danger. I got too excited talking about the where the game idea came from, and have not been tending my people very well.
So one thing we could do is we could pull up the schedule if we wanted, and schedule our students for some more class time instead of having this afternoon break.
That's a great idea. There's no food, so why bother trying to eat?
So this schedule by default shows the schedules for all students and all staff. We can change it to any of the individual hour blocks to be things like do chores or take class, which I just changed things to. You can schedule your meal times and your sleep times then. Um, but one of the more powerful things that you can do there is actually you can assign individual schedules. So if you wanted to have a single nocturnal character, you could. If you wanted to include a schedule for specifically your human characters or specifically your wolves, you can do powerful stuff like that and really make the school into the full automatically functioning machine that you want. Oh,
You
this is
just
a really
rolled in
good
on us
question.
again.
Yeah, a really good question from Grid Warrior. What challenges were presented with the side view choice?
So the biggest one is that our world space is very limited. I'm going to go ahead and get the trial started here before anybody starves to death and get them graduated and then come back to that. The world space is pretty limited compared to the top-down game. We've got just enough depth. This is about as much depth as we felt like we could get and still have our diorama view. And then the rest of the world space is what you build. And so that we don't have much room for wildlife, which is where the dungeon came from. Is, well, where can we go? Where can we explore? And so we were just talking about that, and Jason, our company president, oh no, this is really bad. We just lost two of them.
Oh yeah, because I think they
They
collapsed from
starved. They
hunger and got.
starved. We didn't make it.
Well, we'll see if this last student can take on the boss by his lonesome, but I don't think it's looking good.
Ike. So much talking. Oh, the dangers of the underschool. So one of them died out there, and these two are in trouble, starving to death. They need to get food really badly. Do we have anything we can get for them? We got some more gut berries. And our ghost staff will take them meals if we can get them meals in time.
And when it rains, it pours. So if you're not on top of things, the game can kind of spiral like this. Fortunately, we
Oh,
do
you
have the
did it.
ability
Check
to
that
bring.
out.
Yeah, there you go. One
You
of them
saved
got
one
fed
of them?
a meal by his ghost, so we'll see if we can save the other one in time.
Awesome. Some gut berries. Oh, we got another one here.
No, it's not fully grown yet, though.
Okay.
But we do have one meal in storage, supposedly, so we could see if we could find that.
Where are our meals? Okay. Oh, and the rain just
Oh, he
destroyed
died.
it.
That's why.
Oh my goodness.
So we can take a moment to talk about what happens with death in this game. So
Let's do.
when your students die in this game, we will probably want to hold a funeral for them. So the first thing we'll need to do is probably research graves, which we can go ahead and do because our research for our dining table is completed. And the first grave that you'll get is a modest grave. So you'll bury your students there and you'll hold a funeral, and it'll start growing a hallow lily. You'll actually notice that the founder's grave is in the game at the very beginning. That will also grow hallow lilies. And hallow lilies are our sorry you tried resource in the game. They're useful reagents for things like building more decor, building more powerful, crafting more powerful potions and wands, things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get. So it's a little bit of a bounce back mechanic. It allows your characters who, your playthroughs, which may have had some tragedy befall them, get some resources that allow you to sort of like keep up with the game. in later builds, I think maybe even in the demo there might be one or two graves that are more advanced than the modest grave, which will help to spawn spirits. So they're not fully as powerful as the founder ghost. That's very strong magic that if we're going to give you, we're going to give you very late in the game. But spirits will be ghosts that will provide one-time services for you. They'll do things like go out into the fog to find resources for you, or they'll encourage your students and make them learn faster for the day. So even in death, your characters can still sort of help your school out in various ways, which was a sort of important part of the grim tone that we're hoping to establish with the game.
Meantime, I've queued up some more wands so we get some new students in to help. Our bitter rice plants will be grown later today, so let's queue up some bitter gruel. Try and avoid this tragedy from prevent this tragedy from happening again.
Yep. Beastier Beast asking, do different spices have different traits? Assuming that you're talking about the plants that are growing out in the garden, they do. There are various different traits that they might have. First of all, they're used in different things. But beyond that, a lot of them have different growing patterns. So, for example, the trees at the beginning of the game will grow day and night, sun shadow trees. But trees that you find later in the game may only grow during the day. Fungi, things like the Reaper's mushroom, which you find in the meadow, will only grow at night. Some plants and some are dangerous. So the Reaper's mushroom, the aforementioned one, will poison your characters if they get too close when it's fully grown. And there will be events that may cause certain plants to grow when other plants won't. So there's all sorts of differences that you'll find when you're playing the game as to what the different plants can and can't do. We've got our little funerals going here. See the characters mourning their lost companion.
Eli, what's Eli's problem? Oh, Eli saw the corpse and was near somebody who died, so he's struggling also. We need our materials for wands here. What are we missing? We need sinew and viscera. So we'll get some more rats here.
Arganthi asking, does the fog limiting the space ever expand? It sure does. So graduating students is one way to push the fog back, but that only pushes it back to its current extent. So right now, if Ike graduates some students, the fog will roll back, but only to where we started the game. In order to get more space in the world, you'll need to actually complete chapters at the Book of Nightmares, or the Book of Dread. You'll graduate students into quests, which will allow you to get vivified pages, which will in turn allow you to do research at the Book of Dread and push the fog out to a new extent. The next biome past the garden is the meadow, where there are more opportunities, lots of different resources like metal and the aforementioned Reaper's mushrooms, but also dangers, things like Croa, which will come and eat your food crops. So as you push the fog out, you will gain more territory. The fog will move in more quickly, so you'll have to keep up with that. And you'll also have new opportunities and new dangers to explore.
All right, now we're bringing in our new students. We'll get teaching again, and we'll be back in business.
Looks like we have some
researching
pathing in that little attic space. Maybe the stairs aren't going all the way up. I think it would be really fun to have a little attic dining hall.
Yeah, I think
you missed the top
stair. I had a little issue with my stair there. So we'll get these cleaned up. Build that again. There's my floor.
I got click.
Oh. Missed my floor. Try again. And get our spiral stair back. do, do, do. There we go. Missed the bottoms.
Bottom way.
Come on.
There we go.
Building, building, building. Oop, we got some leveling up happening. Everybody's learning. We got our crops replanted. Check this out. We have meals. We have 11 meals.
Yeah, we're doing fantastic.
Outstanding.
Another question coming in: what happens if you build a room more far out from the school's center and it end up being engulfed by the fog? The fog is a destructive force, and so if you are building little outposts out in the world and the fog rolls back over it, it will destroy everything in its path. So it's really important for you to, when you're building those outposts, to keep the fog rolled back to a further extent. So as you expand further, keeping up with the fog becomes more and more important. So it's one of the sort of push-pull mechanics of the game of wanting to expand out further horizontally and potentially build auxiliary schools, but it being more difficult to then keep the fog continuously away without it rolling up and eating some of your stuff. And then building upwards has its own challenges. You need to keep on doing support. You need to keep rearranging the existing school in order to support that. There are many school buildings that need to have keywords like towered, where that means that they need to have no rooms on the sides or above them, which is much easier when you're building little auxiliary structures than when you have a single tall building. So there's lots of different mechanics that sort of encourage different play styles and to experiment with to try and make the ideal school for whatever your desire to build is.
We're just going to take this tree down because it's blocking us from building our little expansion over here. Little nighttime project for Henry to work on. Alright, we should get a full day of teaching in here in the morning. And maybe we can try again on our trial. Eli helping out. Great job, Eli.
Mangos1 saying that they really love the demo, thank you, and also asking, will there be weather hazards other than rain and thunderstorms in later releases? It depends on how you define weather, I suppose. There are planned to be a lot of different events in the game. Even in the demo, there are lots of additional events that you could call weather in a magical sense, but they're not visualized in the same way as weather. Things like horror culture, where all of your plants start to drop body parts instead of their actual resources, or cold snaps, where your ice flowers will grow more quickly, but your phoenix petals won't. We're planning on adding a lot more of that sort of thing, different sorts of events that will happen in your world, potentially probably with additional visuals to sort of support them. We have some
like the falling frogs.
The falling frogs is definitely on the list of things of tropes that we want to hit. We've got some really, really cool concept art of a blood moon and a giant blood red sky and what that might do. So definitely we have plans for making more cool events beyond just the mundane rain and thunderstorms to really reflect on the fact that this is a magical world where things that are out of the ordinary can and will happen.
Getting my dining table up. We're going to get a dining room. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. What are you going to do with that little nook? I'm still so excited about this little attic.
I don't know.
I never make a little attic nook like this. Gotta find a use for it.
Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to move now. Oh, we're missing some walls back here. I don't know exactly what I did.
Oh, probably when you were redoing the stairs. Yeah.
While we were chatting. Nope.
Arganthi saying, excuse me, did you just say falling frogs? Yeah, why not? It's a magic world. If it rains cats and dogs and frogs, then it's just the way of the world.
That's absolutely me just putting something out into the universe, so we have to back it up.
I'm not sad about it.
We gotta find something to put up here. We got our room types back now. We've got our scullery and our workshop fully rocking. How are we doing? Oh, everybody's ready to go. It's
Yeah.
time for a trial before the fog washes over.
Nobody's hungry this time, so I think that we're going to crush this.
Here we go. You know what? I jumped the gun. Let's be extra careful. We're going to send some ice petals with them, 3 of them, so they have some backup health if they need it.
So yeah, so the supplies there is a mechanic that allows you to bring things with you on your dungeon run. As we mentioned before, making sure your characters are kitted out so that they can make their own decisions about how to survive is really important. Your characters will automatically use what you send them in with. So if they run out of mana, they will use those ice petals to restore them. If you send them in with health potions, they'll use them in case they die. And whatever resources you send with them are lost, so you do sort of need to be careful to not overload them with too much stuff, unless you have the resources to spare. They passed that one with flying colors.
They messed it up very well. And these guys are ready to graduate. Our first true graduating class. We'll hit complete trial. This is going to push back the fog for us. Now, we could hire all these guys, but we've had enough troubles keeping everybody alive. Let's go ahead and graduate them by sending them on a quest. And as a reward, we're going to get pages of the Book of Dread that we can use to restore our book.
Yeah, and when we do that, we're going to actually be able to make another choice, similar to how we did at the very beginning of the game, of a new passive power that we're going to gain. Or in this case, one of the choices is to get an extra powerful wand to summon a more powerful student than we normally would get, which is another cool choice that we have here to get ahead of the game a little bit.
There's a wand down there.
Monocrystal.
And there's monocrystal. We need to build a mana fountain for sure.
I think we got to research that first because we made the other choice.
Yep, indeed.
Did we lose our? I think we lost our arcane secretary.
I did some bad clicking earlier.
Oh, maybe that's what our little attic room can be—a little research center.
Yeah, will it fit? Oh yeah, totally
barely.
fits.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. Just where I want to be doing magical research in the tiny attic of my workshop.
Yes, yes. We can go ahead and get some new wands started. We've got the verdant wand somewhere already. Yep, there we go. It's hidden down there. We still need some lights. Our sad kitchen is very dark. Oh, here we've got the horticulture event. So harvesting crops right now is less than ideal. They're not going to give us what we actually want, so we will try and hold off on harvesting right now. We'll cancel all of our harvests.
So fortunately right now we've sort of overcome our initial food troubles. We've got 11 bitter gruel in our inventory. We've only got a couple characters that need to eat right at the moment. So it's not as deadly an event as it could be. There are definitely times where you're desperate to get those food crops and horticulture hits at the wrong time, and you can be in a bit of trouble. But yeah, if we scroll over to one side or the other, we can see that the world has expanded now, and we have a whole bunch of new stuff that we can go ahead and grab. Things like metal and bristlecone trees, bigger trees that take a lot longer to chop down, but will provide more wood. Little croa nests that'll spawn little croa, which are moa crow hybrids, tiny little dinosaur bird dudes. They'll come in and eat your crops unless you protect them with naturally a scare croa. So yeah, it's always sort of interesting to see people's reactions when they start to face the new dangers and new opportunities of the further out spaces of the world.
I hope you can hear the pride in Ryan's voice about the croa. His pride and joy.
Yeah, they're my babies. It's not often that you come up with a pun as good as Scarecrow.
Well done, sir. That's really been one of the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Beaster Beast asking why did the fog go away. I guess I didn't explain it exactly as it was happening, but when the research at the Book of Dread that we chose, that verdant wand choice completed, because we graduated those students into a project and had pages, we were able to make a choice. And once that completes, that chapter completes, we push the fog back. Ike showing off that we are actually not playing on the demo at the moment and have even more chapters. Someone was asking earlier how many chapters are planned for the game. We've got about 4 or 5 planned out right now. Whether chapters even exist is an open question, but there's a lot more planned beyond what we just have in the demo. So we are definitely planning on expanding a whole lot, adding a whole bunch of cool new room types, new furniture, refineries, so things where you can take resources and convert them into other more advanced resources are planned. We've got really cool ideas for those that we're really excited to be able to show off at some point. So definitely lots more content planned beyond what you're seeing in the demo, and a lot of it already has been pretty thoroughly worked on and thought out. So some exciting stuff coming.
It's really been one of the joys of working on the game. Ryan mentioned the Croa, but there's so many little bits that individuals on the team have come up with that just make it cool, like the wallpaper here, and when the students sleep, they toss back and forth, and if you catch it, the wolfkin will just walk out into the land and find a rat to just chomp on raw. Just some of the super fun little content bits that have been you know immediately when it's like absolutely that's in the game. Get some more stuff rolling here. Everything's kind of calm again while we get some new students rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Where are our wands?
I think
they're
being worked on. Yep.
This should be our verdant wand student.
Yeah, so we can see that his skill caps are much higher than the other characters. Got some 5s and some 6s there. So he'll take a lot longer to learn. We'll need to keep him alive and definitely feed him. Well, I guess he's a vivified, so he doesn't care about nicer food. But we'll have to give him a nice bedroom, treat him right so that he'll survive with his sanity intact, and we can hire him on as one of our staff so that he's super powerful.
We missed it while we were chatting, but we had a gremlin attack. And it came and started destroying our resources because we have all this junk lying around on the ground. Let's look at the clutter filter here. Yep. We haven't been paying attention, but we got a bunch of clutter up here, a bunch of clutter in all these rooms.
Yep, but only one room is chaotic right now, and that's our little scullery.
Yeah, the red one.
So clutter is a measure of how many storable objects are on the floor of a room compared to how big it is. So when you make a small room like this, it's very efficient, but it also means that even a few things on the floor will clutter it up. So in this case, there's several carcasses on the floor there, which we can't put into normal storage. But I think Ike may have already researched minute heaps, so if we plop a couple of those down, we'll be able to, and if he hasn't, then he'll probably want to pretty soon. Yep. Yeah, no, we haven't. If we pop a couple of those down, the minute heaps will start converting those carcasses into useful reagents like viscera and sinew, and we'll also unclutter that room so gremlins won't be spawning.
Or culture is still ongoing, so I'm not going to harvest my bitter rice yet and waste it.
Yep. Got a question from Vulpine Vandal saying, speaking of, somebody on Steam asked about more species. Yeah, so at the start of the game, you've got three. You've got your humans, who have an extended lifespan compared to the other characters. You've got your wolfkin, who will eat rats and don't mind sleeping on the floor. And the vivified, who have an iron stomach and will be happy to eat anything. But we do have other factions in the game. The two that are further out and not in the demo are Raven cultists, which are strange bird cultists that think the world is doomed, and the Shattered, who are these glass-like humanoids that are very resilient defensively, but also have very low HP. So if you can crack their armor, they will die very quickly. So we have ideas for potentially how those get introduced and what roles they play in the world. But the different factions of the world, I think, are one of my favorite parts of the game. Like, it's not just little wizard students that are all humans running around. They have their own different abilities and their own different things that they prioritize that you need to manage in order to have a successful school. Beaster Beast asking, can you take the wand away from someone or do they die with it? The wand finds the student, and a single wand is tied to that student throughout their life and throughout their death. So you won't be taking a wand away from a character. They will die and be buried with it. But if you are able to summon them back as a ghost and they have the ability to cast spells, they will continue to use that wand. So even if your super powerful wand student dies, all is not necessarily totally lost. You might still be able to summon them back as a ghost that has those powerful abilities.
Well said. I don't think I've said bound to them in death also before. That's way cooler than just bound to them. And we've got two people that are idle. It's terrible.
Yep.
Let's get some more harvesting done.
We've also got some crystals, which we didn't talk about when the fog got pushed back last, over to the right. Ooh, there.
I missed those.
So crystals will drop when you push the fog back, and they're special mineable sources of all sorts of different things. You may find things like potions inside them, better meals that you aren't able to craft yet. You might even find decor, things like rugs or paintings. And so there are little bonuses, like little ways for us to drop those resources to you before you're able to get them naturally. And those will be different every game, so you might have access to things one game that you wouldn't in another.
Throw down some of those midden heaps so we can get these carcasses out of here. Working our way towards having a tidy school. Oh, we need some more smoke stick to get more.
Ooh. Jason is tempting us. He's encouraging us to cheat in a student so we can show off potentially the Raven cultist or the Shattered. Do we want to show the cheat menu off and pop a student
dare,
or two?
Huh?
Hope we get a Raven cultist in the two that we cheat in, or two or three.
Let's see. We would have to cheat in higher Book of Dread levels.
I was gonna say just do student batches and pop in a. Oh, you're right. Yeah. So do chapter 3 first.
Let's see what happens. Getting crazy. Behind the scenes, look at the cheat menus.
Yeah, and then pop in a student batch or two, and we'll see what we get. Mm-hmm. That's a human. That's another vivified. I believe. Oh no! 0 for 3.
0 for 3. Let's level up once more just in case. And
I believe
a couple more. Oh no! I don't know.
Yeah, we should get.
All right, Jason.
One. Now we got lots of mouths to feed.
Now we're just going far, far, far off the rails, trying to show you some bonus stuff. Let's see one more time. Nope. Yeah, we are missing something with our cheats to be able to do it. Sorry. We'll post some pictures later.
Yeah, it's a good a time as any to sort of plug our Discord. You can always access it through the main menu of the game. We're happy to have people there. We answer all the questions that we can, and there's lots of people that are sharing things like potential tips for the game, ways to play, uh, sharing screenshots of their schools and things like that. So we'd love to see you over there and showing us what kind of cool things you're finding in the demo.
Thank you very much, everybody. Go play the demo, join the Discord, come hang out with us. It's been super fun. Thank you very much.
Yep. And also, just one last thing. If you do have any feedback that you want to give on the demo, you can always press the little notepad that's on the bottom left corner of the screen, or hit F8 anywhere. That'll pop up a feedback window. We read all the feedback that comes in. It's really important to our development process to hear from you guys about things you find exciting or don't, things that you think are broken, things that you think are exciting. That we can do more of, and we really take all of that to heart. So please do send us feedback. We really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy the demo and the rest of Steam Next Fest. We're going to be hosting Dilzik after the stream, doing a raid. So stay tuned for that. Bye, everybody.